Now, instead of doing just that intuitive understanding of when to multiply and when to divide, we can also use what we call dimensional analysis to convert. And that can help us to kind of not even have to think about, do I multiply, do I divide? It just kind of tells us that. So I'm using the same problem here. I want to convert 6 yards to feet using dimensional analysis. So our conversion factor, or our conversion equality here, is 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So I want to go from 6 yards to some number of feet. I need to use my conversion equality here, my dimension, and I'm going to multiply by a factor so that I cancel out or get rid of yards here, and I'm left with feet. So I'm going to set up my conversion fraction, and I can set it up in one of two ways. I can say 1 yard is the same as 3 feet, or I can say 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. The one that I am going to choose is the one with feet on the top and yards on the bottom, and I will show you why in just a minute. 3 feet and 1 yard on the bottom. Whenever we have, just like we simplified before we multiplied with our fractions, do you remember that? We could rewrite this problem 6 yards times 3 feet over 1 yard. And we could say, oh, look, yards on the top and yards on the bottom, we can simplify that. So just like we did with our numbers, we can simplify that. That kind of makes a one pair, just like we saw with fractions. So we're going to get rid of our yards because they make a 1. They are top and a bottom of a fraction. And now we can just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and simplify if we need to. Well, I just have a 1 on the bottom. So I can just multiply 6 times 3, and that gives me 18 feet. And that's what we saw in a previous video, right? And again, we can use that rule just to check ourselves, because we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so we should get a bigger number, right? And we should be multiplying. Now, where dimensional analysis really comes in handy is when we are converting between multiple units. So here in this problem, we want to convert 25 meters into yards. And we have our little hint here that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. But before we even get there, we're going to need to get to inches and centimeters, and then convert from inches into yards. So we have a lot of conversions to do here. So we'll start with 25 meters. And just so we know where we're going, I like to write over here that we're aiming for yards. All right, so we want to convert meters into centimeters so that we can use our little hint here. So how many centimeters are in a meter? There are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And I'm writing it this way so that I can, because meters are on the top and meters are on the bottom, I can get rid of the meters and I'm left with centimeters. And by the way, you could solve this right here and you could just say equals and then centimeters. But I'm going to keep going because I'm going to do this all in one step and get the whole way to yards. So now I have centimeters, I can get to inches because I have my little hint over here. So 1 inch is the same as 2.54 centimeters. Now I have centimeters on the top, centimeters on the bottom. Now I'm still trying to get to yards. I don't know a conversion between inches and yards. Maybe you do. But I know a conversion between inches and feet. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. So inches on the top, inches on the bottom. Now I'm at feet, and now I know a conversion between feet and yards. So 3 yards is the same as 1 foot. What did I just say? Dr. Kelly, it must be time for you to take a break. 1 yard, oh my goodness, is the same as 3 feet. Even math teachers have need some coffee once in a while. Okay, so we have feet on the top and feet on the bottom, and we have finally made it to our unit of yards. So now what do? Just like in fraction multiplication, we multiply everything on the top and multiply everything on the bottom. So I have 25 times 100, 25 100, and then 1 times 2.54 times 12 times 3. I'm going to pull out my handy dandy calculator because I obviously didn't know how many feet and yards, what that conversion was. So I definitely need to use a calculator right about now. And I end up with 91.44. Now that is an ugly fraction if ever I saw it. But the nice thing about fractions is they are actually division problems. So I am going to simplify this division problem by saying 2,500 divided by 91.44. And my calculator is very helpful here. And it gives me 27.34. I can use my significant digits, and I'm going to have 2 significant digits because that's how many significant digits I started with over here. So my final answer in yards is 27 yards. So 25 meters is about the same as 27 yards.